Poddin My Noggin, hosted by CK Sims, creating a platform to elevate, educate, and heal by creating a space where people can share their stories of struggle, triumph, and redemption. CKS Media.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Poddin My Noggin. I'm your host, CK Sims, and today we are joined by Dan MacQueen. Did I say it correctly?
You said it correctly, CK. Thank you.
Perfect. Welcome to the show, Dan. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing today, CK?
I'm doing all right. It's quite cold where I am, and I'm trying to stay warm. So that's what we're doing.
Where are you based again, CK?
I am in Quebec, Canada.
Quebec, Canada. I'm in Vancouver, Canada, the other side of the country. So it's a bit warmer here, but not warm, I would say. It's just a bit warmer than where you are.
Yes. I think this morning when I woke up, it was minus 24 with a wind chill. So it was very cold. But we're not here to talk about the weather, Dan. We are here to talk about you. So I took a look at what you've sent to me, and we're going to let the audience know all about Dan's life, right? But can you tell us a little bit about Dan prior to 28?
Dan was a pretty happy-go-lucky guy, big party guy, last one at the party, having a good time, carefree, easygoing, fast and loose. I was living my best life in Europe, man. I was having a great time and just enjoying myself, and very sporty, played lots of sports. In London specifically, I played five-a-side footy and ball hockey. And just, living that life, that expat life in London. It was wicked.
At 28, which it sounds like it would have been quite the adventure and fun. So you were from Canada originally?
Yeah, I'm from Canada, but moved to London after a master's in Sweden. So I got my European passport, an Austrian passport, which allowed me to move to London and pursued a career in tech there. So I worked for a company called Hootsuite, so a social media management platform.
I'm familiar, yes.
There. Yeah. It was a fun vibe. It was very fun, energetic culture. We had like a keg on Fridays, so Friday nights were always the best night of the week. But it took me a while to realize that you only got paid once in London. So that first weekend was awesome, CK, but then I'd be eating beans and toast, figuratively. I hate beans and toast, but I would eat that for the rest of the month because I had no money left.
Oh, because it's very expensive. And
you only get paid the one time a month, so I didn't really plan for that too well.
Oh, wait, now hold up a second. So you only get paid once a month there?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Well, it took me a few months to figure that out myself, CK, so you're not alone.
Wow. Okay. That would be definitely a shift in gears for sure. So you're 28 years old, you're working for Hootsuite, you're technically like living the dream is what I'm hearing, right? You're off, you've traveled Europe, you got a passport, and at 28, tell us what happens at 28.
Yeah, so I just got a new promotion at work. I was working in professional services, working with some big clients. I was, life was going pretty well for me, right? I was doing well, and I started having these headaches. And they got progressively worse after a few weeks, taking painkillers like candy for them. So in the tube one day, the tube's how you zigzag around London, lumbering towards Nine Hill Gate tube station on the district line. It's a slow roll at the best of times. Headaches were so bad, my vision started to go starry, and I saw spots. And it slowly started to fade to black. It was a race to see who could arrive at the station first, me or the blindness. Arrived at Nine Hill Gate tube station, stepped onto the platform, mind the gap, and the lights went out. I couldn't see a thing. So CK, I want to ask you, if you were in my shoes, able-sighted person your whole life, step onto a platform in London, and you're suddenly blind, what would your first thoughts be?
I don't know what my first thoughts would be, but I would lose my absolute shit. The very setup of it and to try and even think of it scares the out of me. What were your first thoughts?
Oh, I didn't know what to think, but I knew that I didn't want to call for help because I'd be like a target on the platform. So I just stood there and I thought the station's swirling around me, right? CK, it's swirling around me. I can hear all the noises. And I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to do with this? This is kind of wild. After the longest 3 minutes of my life, my vision came back, and I carried on my day. But the next day, I went storming back into A&E. A&E is accident emergency in the UK, like ER in Canada and the States. And I told them what had happened. I was blind on a tube station in London. What the hell's going on here? They ran some more tests, and again, they thought it was vertigo. They sent me home. But on the way out, CK, they told me I could always get my eyes checked by an optometrist, right? It's a bit odd, but okay. Next day, the headaches were back with a vengeance. The headaches were just pounding, debilitating headaches. I found myself in Mr. Patel's chair. He was midway through a routine optometrist exam when he stopped it, excused himself from the room, and he came back a few minutes later with a sealed envelope which he handed to me. He told me to go directly to Moorfields Hospital, which I did. Well, CK, tell a lie. I stopped at home first to grab a Jack Reacher book by Lee Child, a phone charger, and a bite to eat. Arrived at Moorfields Hospital, handed them the same sealed envelope. They ran the same test there again. They escalated me up to Charing Cross Hospital. We're getting somewhere. I'm thinking, this is positive. We're figuring out what's going on. Now, it turns out I had a dangerous buildup of pressure in my brain caused from a non-cancerous cyst in my pineal gland. This prevented the fluid from my brain to drain as it normally would. Now, it turns out I required emergency brain surgery tomorrow. Now, it turns out my world's about to change altogether. After a frantic back and forth with folks in Canada, the last text message my mom received reads, "I'll see you soon, Mom. Think I'll have a new haircut next time I see you. Love, Dan." Mom's in the air flying to London on June 21st, 2014. I'm on the operating table. Something goes horribly wrong, CK. Massive bleeding in the brain and brain hemorrhage. Then the cyst burst when they operated. Mom lands and finds I'm in critical condition. I was in a coma for 4 weeks. I was in and out of consciousness for months after this. Things were pretty dicey, touch and go. When all of a sudden I was learning how to walk, talk, and smile again. So it went 0 to 60 for me in about 8 hours. Healthy, active guy to all of a sudden being told, well, not being told anything because I was in a coma for 4 weeks, but I woke up 4 weeks later being told, "Hey, Dan, you had a brain hemorrhage." My leg had atrophied, so I couldn't use my leg. I was wheelchair bound. Couldn't talk. Tracheotomy fried my vocal cords. So I pointed at my brother, mom, dad, and brother on the bed. And they were, "You, get me a pen and paper." And right in the pen and paper, I go, "Get me the hell out of here." I showed it to Cam. He did not heed my request, and I stayed in the hospital, thankfully. My first thought was, this looks expensive. I'm a foreigner in London. This is not going to be cheap. Let's get the hell out of here. But that started the process of what, was years of rehab and recovery.
Wow. Right? Like, that's like an overnight type experience. And at no point, when did they tell you, because the optometrist gave you a sealed envelope and sent you to this particular hospital. They ran more tests and they moved you to another hospital.
Yeah.
Had anyone told you at that point before you got to the last hospital what they were speculating was happening, or you were just kept in the dark the whole time until you got there and realized you needed brain surgery?
Yeah, pretty much. Kept in the dark, told that I needed brain surgery. I made a few phone calls, called my work, called my brother, told Cam. He's like, "Yeah, you were super chill about the whole thing." Like, "Yeah, I'm not going for brain surgery tomorrow." He's like, "Yeah, you were super chill about the whole thing." I'm like, "Well, I was trying to be, because if this is my last memory, I don't want to go out like a punk. I want to have like a bit of dignity, a bit of class, a bit of cheek." He went out like with a bit of class, right? So I kind of stiff upper lipped it. But 0 to 60 in a matter of 8 hours, right?
That's insane. That's insane. So you underwent your surgery. There was massive complications during the surgery, which landed you in a coma for 4 weeks. You woke up with a whole list of now ailments that didn't exist before. How long were you? Because there was a second brain surgery, correct?
Yeah, that happened a year later.
1 year later. So what happened in the 1 year after you woke up to the second one?
Well, grueling recovery, rehab, like mindset shifts, pity spirals, why me, woe's me, this isn't fair. That wheelchair took 45 minutes to get into, then 40. Next week, 35, and the week after that, 30. Incrementally building myself back up to get into the wheelchair a bit faster than I could the week before. It was super difficult and arduous. To give you an illustration of how difficult that was, so I had to wear a splint over my left leg to help stretch out the leg muscle. My leg had atrophied in the coma. wasn't viable. So I was in a wheelchair for about 4 months. The first night I wore the splint through the night, no issue, no stress. This will be easy. I thought this will be easy. Boy, was I wrong. The second night, after 20 minutes, it was dreadful. After 30 minutes, it was unbearable. I buzzed the nurse. Take the splint off my leg because I can't handle the pain. But I told them tomorrow, we're doing this for an hour. I'm a walker. I can handle the pain. Big talk, man. Big talk. So third night, they wrap my leg. They tie it off at the ankle. They give me the clicker, the nurse call button. They go patrol the Wilson ward. And the Wilson ward was an L shape, so short on this side, long on this side. Okay, short on this side, long on this side. They leave in that hospital room that smells like only a hospital room can smell. Sanitized, sterilized. It's clean, but you wonder what sort of atrocities have been committed under the guise that lemony zestness. After 10 minutes, the leg's painful. After 20 minutes, the leg's dreadful. After 30 minutes, the leg's unbearable. I start passing the clicker back and forth, trying to distract myself from the pain. Now, I've got double vision from the brain injury CK, so I see two of you right now, which is fantastic, my man, let me say. But this clicker, I can't see this clicker going back and forth all right. I'm just tossing it and trying to grope to catch it, right? And eventually, I miss the clicker. And it landed on the hard linoleum floor 3.5 feet down the ground. Shit. Look over the edge of the bed. I can see the clicker on the floor looking back at me. If I get to that clicker, I can stop this pain. I can end this monstrosity. Only problem was to fall from that height. Might break my arm. In fact, I figured about a 50-50 chance we break my arm. A coin flip. Not the best odds. I changed tack. I'm trying to untie the splint, but it's tied off at the ankle, not the hip. I can't reach out far down. I'm not that flexible. The ward of the Wilson was an L shape, right? Short on this side, long on this side. Short on this side, long on this side. They're at the far end of the ward. They can't hear me on for help. I decided to flip the coin. Drop down and grab the clicker, even if I break my arm. The splint's got to come on my leg. That's priority number 1, 2, and 3. Lower myself off the edge of the bed, and I crash down in absolute heat. Blankets, wires, cables, it's all a go. The arm holds. It holds, and I hammer the clicker, expecting the nurse to come bursting into the room like the bat signal's been put up. They kind of stroll in 5 minutes later. What are you doing the float of? First of all, I say, that's a fantastic British accent you have there. Where do you say you're from again? CK, I did not say that. I said, let's splint off my leg. Please don't tell all about this. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to the matters, right? The reason why I'm telling you stories, I learned 3 lessons from this experience. The first lesson being, probably most evidently, let's not pass the clicker back and forth. That's a bad idea. The second lesson was, let's tie the splint up the hip, not the ankle. That way I can untie this should this happen going forwards. And the third and probably most profound lesson I learned was let's always be solutions-oriented from this moment forwards. When things go sideways, which sure as they're born, they will, let's focus on a solutions-based approach. How do you resolve your issue? How do you fix your problem? That clicker was everything to me. The split was unbearable. I can't tell you the pain I was feeling. Literally in my head, this is a 50-50 chance you break my arm. So I learned this profound lesson. With the help of the splints, I was able to start walking all over the Wilson. First on the Zimmer frame, you kind of lurch forward on that, build up some steam, then move it to a Ferrari. A Ferrari is a four-wheeled walker you kind of waddle around quickly on. I'm not going faster, this is a walker for old people, right? For me, this is greased lightning, man. I was ripping it. Then I moved up to naked walks. Now, what's a naked walk, you may ask? I'll fill you in, CK. I'm walking without support aids. I'm walking naked. The term kind of stuck, and people were so aghast that I was going for a naked walk that I kind of used it and loved it. Then came time to walk in Tooting Broadway. So, CK, have you been to London, England?
I have not. It's on my bucket list.
Okay. Well, Tooting Broadway is an area in South London, okay, where I was at the hospital with the rehab center. An area they call up and coming. They cloud sirens, drugs, gangs. It's dirty, it's hectic, and boy, is it busy. I'm walking with a cane, I'm walking with an eye patch. After 4 months in a wheelchair, I'm literally Bambi on ice. I turn the corner to walk on the high street of Tooting Broadway for the first time. Immediately get slammed in by someone. Stagger back a few feet. Someone scurries past me on the right-hand side. I thought I was done with the rats. Someone had been stabbed on the sidewalk over here. I'm thinking, this is a pretty wild place to learn how to walk. After a few days, I was thinking, this is the worst place to learn how to walk in the world.
Hold up 1 second. I have to ask you, did you just say that during that scuffle that you had, that someone was stabbed?
Someone had been stabbed on the sidewalk.
At the same time?
He was there bleeding.
Holy wow. Okay.
So I'm thinking, this is the worst place to learn to walk in the world. Can't they see I'm trying to walk here? Can't they see I'm trying here? And then one day my perspective shifted. Maybe this isn't the worst place to learn to walk in the world. No, maybe this is the best. If I can walk here, I can walk anywhere. Now, June Broadway didn't change, did it, CK? It went from the worst to the best in my mind, and my mood reflected that. What are you looking at in your life you're convinced is the worst? Convinced is the absolute worst. Hey, maybe it is. Maybe you can find a way to turn down the suck a little bit. Shift that perspective a little bit. Iron Mike Tyson famously said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Now, your punch may not be a brain hemorrhage, right, CK? It will be a job loss, a breakup, a diagnosis for you, a loved one. You will take that punch in the mouth. How do you respond? I'm offering a compass, not a map, but a compass. It always points towards true north. Those are things like mindset, perspective, and hacks. Hacks that will allow you and your team to be better than yesterday, tomorrow. My name's Dan MacQueen. The reason why I told you that story about learning to walk in June Broadway is when you change the way you look at the world look at changes. And you don't need a brain hemorrhage to understand that.
So that's really interesting. And I think that's what was the attraction for me, is how you took something that was incredibly, I would say, tragic, traumatic, life-changing, life-altering for you, considering pre-28, post-28, and found something empowering in that process, a lesson, if you will. And yeah, it's interesting. So so that's when you realize, that's when your mindset started to shift, was during that walk, during that fall off the bed.
No, the mindset shift happened much earlier than this, but it's everything needs to be reframed in life, right? Like everything needs to be reframed. So that mindset shift of why did this happen to me? This isn't fair. That was there.
Mm-hmm.
But the odds of you being a human being, CK, are 400 trillion to 1. 400 trillion to 1 for you to have a life in the first place. This blip was in my DNA. No matter what I did, I couldn't have avoided this. Was this going to happen? It was going to come up. Now, am I going to muck the whole life because this thing came up? No, I'm going to play the hand, man. The odds of having a life in the first place are so small. If I didn't have this blip in my DNA, I wouldn't be myself. I wouldn't be Dan MacQueen. I wouldn't have had the life I've had and the life I'm planning to live. This blip is me. I am the blip. When you start reframing stuff in that capacity, you start getting less about woe is me and more about I get to do this. I get the opportunity to do this and live my life and to improve myself and to get better at this. And it's not easy to do that, right? I'm not trying to make this is going to be an easy thing to do or decide, but the decision you make is so key in this. I'm building a new Keynote now, CK, called AAA Framework. Acknowledge, accept, and adapt. I'll spell it out for you and your listeners. Acknowledge is the first day. Is your head. You got to think it. You got to feel it. You got to know it. I had a brain hemorrhage. Okay. You got to understand with your head I had a brain hemorrhage. The second one is accept. That's the heart. I had a brain hemorrhage. You gotta feel it. You gotta own it. And acceptance is key, man. Acceptance slaps. But if you don't accept it, you can't improve it. The last one is adapt. And this is where I find the most joy in speaking, is about how you adapt your new parameters. How do you make this new chessboard work in your favor? Or how do you at least know where to avoid and where to double down? Acknowledge, accept, and adapt is a framework that I think can help you navigate any adversity you're facing in your life. It's what I live by these days.
AAA Framework. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll talk more about that when we get back.
This month, join our Valentine's Quilt Sweepstakes, hosted by Poddin My Noggin and made by CK Sims. Enter for the chance to win the Valentine's Quilt and matching pillow by subscribing to Poddin My Noggin's YouTube channel. The sweepstakes will run from February 1st to February 28th, when the winner will be announced. Additionally, you can receive 10 extra entries by purchasing the Easy Beginners Digital Quilt Pattern Valentine's Edition. Check out the sweepstakes rules below and access the link in the description to enter today.
Partner today with CK Sims and Poddin My Noggin to get in front of an audience that cares. You will be supporting mental health stories, tales of resilience, and uplifting content, aligning your brand with bringing goodness, authenticity, and kindness front and center. This spot could be yours. Do you have a story of struggle and resilience? One that you want to share with others and possibly help someone through their own struggles? Find the link in the show description and fill out the guest form today.
Welcome back, everybody. Before the break, we were talking, and still are, with Dan MacQueen, and he was explaining to us how we went from a very healthy, fun, happy 28-year-old to, in 8 hours, having his life turned upside down by having emergency brain surgery, being in a coma for 4 weeks, and having to learn how to walk, talk, to live again. And how it was through mindset that he was able to reframe that experience. And also that he's currently working on a new keynote called the AAA Framework. So let me see if I can get this right, because I heard it once. No, I'm missing one.
Acknowledge,
accept, adapt.
That's right.
Okay, perfect. So when did this happen? Just curious. It was June 21st, 2014. You had told me that. So we're looking at a decade and a half, like 10 and a half years ago that this happened. So you talked about before the break a couple times when you had realizations, when you began to reframe. You started, some of that reframing happened prior to that. What was the big spark, I guess, if you will, that really catapulted you into the direction that you ended up going? Was there any one thing, or was it an amalgamation of multiple things?
I never got negative after this happened to me. Like, the worst I ever said about this injury was I wish it didn't happen. Never woes me, never like too down in the dumps about this. I was always, I'm alive, I survived. Which, let's be honest, emergency brain surgery is not got a high prognosis. Coma 4 weeks, like I was in dire straits. The doctors told my parents, I may not make this, right? Like I was very much up against the wall, up against it in many capacities. But I found a way through. And I've got all these whimsical expressions and lessons learned and mindset shifts now. At the time I'm going through this, CK, I'm just trying to survive. I'm holding on by my fingernails, hoping that like the dawn will break, man. I don't know if it will. Like the hospital, man. The hospital was horrific. Like the night times in the hospital and the ICU were terrifying. The wails of the inmates or the patients there were just like haunting. Their lives are shattered. And I'm in there with them trying to sleep, and I can't sleep because they're crying and wailing so loudly. I put on like noise canceling headphones to like drown the noise. And I never told anyone about this because you can't help me go through this, right? Like the family in the daytime, the hospital's not a happy place, but like there's families, there's doctors there. It's like we can do this. You're all good. And the nighttime is like the night staff's on. All the parents are home. All the families and friends are home. The doctors are home. It's the night staff and the patients have had their lives upturned in an instant, and they're wailing and crying and screaming. And I kind of realized, hey, Dad, you got to kind of buck up and get through this, man. Like no one can help you get through this noise, right? Now, I had so much help with family and friends, but like they can't walk you through the whole process. You got to kind of buck up and make your peace with this and get after it. And that's why the acceptance piece is so key, right? I was able to accept the brain injury quite early on. Not instantly. I'm not going to be like a saint here, but like I quickly decided that like I'm alive now. And now it's what you think about it that matters. I use this through line of my talk, Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. And I decided I'm going to make this the best rehab I can make this. How do you stay motivated, Dan? You get one at bat at this, right? One at bat at life. I'm not going to not try for my rehab. That's the most important thing to try for in my life. I'm also building this new part of my keynote out now called the 3 Horsemen of Motivation. As far as I'm aware, CK, there's 3 motivation pieces you can harness. And you want to harness as many as you can to get them pulling in the right direction. The first one is proving you wrong. It's a powerful motivation, but it's a toxic sludge of slurry. The way this was identified by my nurse was I was trying to talk after the brain injury, but I couldn't talk. Vocal cords were fried. They told my parents he may not be a talker again. His vocal cords look pretty chewed up from the tracheotomy. Keyboard nurse read my file. She goes, I'll get Dan talking again. Took me down to the park. Some kids playing footy across the park, soccer across the park. She goes, damn, those kids across the park. They don't think you're good enough to talk. They don't think you're good enough to talk. Which was like seeing red for me. And I said, go fuck yourself across the park. And I yelled it from the bellows of my soul. I'm good enough to talk. How dare you? That's the first horseman of motivation. The second one is proving you right. Friends visit me in the hospital quite often, and they would praise me, like, "Dan, you're doing so well, like you're recovering so well." But I could kind of try and make it seem like I was trying more than I was. In my soul, I knew I could try harder. Friend Claire Nash came to visit me in the hospital before she went to Scotland. She visited me. I was in a wheelchair. I was just like, "Dan, you're doing so well. You're doing great here." I was like, "Yeah, I could try harder, though. I could try harder." When she came back down after visiting in Scotland, she saw me and I was walking again. On the Zimmer frame, but I'm walking. I'm trying to prove her right that I'm worthy of the praise she's giving me. That's the second horseman of motivation. The third one is service. Now, service is a big motivator for me. I want to, help you. Your success is my success. Now I'll be cheering on your podcast, CK. When I can start bridling these different motivation horses, I can pull myself further, faster, stronger together. But it's about understanding what motivates you and diving into that and not worrying about if it's like a healthy place for motivation to come from. Don't judge the motivation, man. Ride that wave. Ride those horses. Don't spare the horses, man.
I really like that, actually. And I think that that's such an important piece, because sometimes we do get caught up in what motivates us or what our reasons may be to get to survival or to get through rehab or to get through something. And I think that there's this level of guilt that could potentially be attached to it because, well, I don't want to get better, so, I can do this or that. I want to get better because of this and that. I don't think there's a right or wrong, right? It's whatever you absolutely need to hang on to and use to get yourself to where you need to be. And I love that point. The proving yourself wrong, proving yourself right, or proving others right. And the third one, I have a memory like a goldfish.
Service.
Service, exactly. So, and yeah, I think that that's really incredible. So you were in the hospital how long exactly?
6 months.
6 months. And the second brain surgery was was it an upkeep, or was it another sort of
I can detail that out for you now if you want, CK. So I got out of hospital and the rehab continued for about 6 months, slowly build my stamina back up. Eventually got back to work at Hootsuite. 2 half days a week, 3 half days a week. I'm not doing much. I'm reading emails. I'm being part of the team. I'm reintegrating back into life in the tech company. It's fun. It's lively. It's interesting. I'm trying to get my head around my job, but I'm like, this is insane. How to do this job beforehand? It was difficult. It was challenging. And my mom, the two before I went to the office at Gold Hawk Road Tube Station in Flat and Salgrave Road. One morning, I didn't show up for work. And she calls my cell phone. Where are you, Dan? No response. Walks back to my flat, about 5 minutes away from the tube station. Opens the door, and there I am, unconscious on the floor. I've got a shunt in my brain from the first brain hemorrhage to drain the fluid from my brain. It had blocked, leading to hydrocephalus. I'm rushed to the hospital. Emergency brain surgery to undergo. I wake up the next day, beeping noise of the heart rate monitor going off behind me, beep, beep, beep. What happened? Well, Dan, you had a second brain surgery. What do you mean? Well, the shunt that's in your head blocked. I go, all my progress is washed away. I had worked for a year to get back to the office, to put this behind me, to move on with my life, to build something back up. And in an instant, this is ripped from underneath you. I can't tell you how low this was, CK. My recovery is like a W, right? So the first setback's down here. I kind of climb back up, about halfway back up. The second setback's not where the first one was. It's much lower, my man. It's like at the very depths of the human experience. All your hopes and dreams are taken away. Like you thought you had a chance, but we're not going nowhere. We got you back down here, man. You're not going nowhere here. And the depths of self-belief and struggle and strife to get myself back up after that second setback was unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. The first one was a joke compared to this. First one, you had all the support. You're in the hospital. They're all cheering you on. You're going with this. I had already done hospital, so I couldn't go back for rehab again. Pretending to a second brain surgery. You've done the rehab. You can't do that again. So this is all done like on a phone basis and like at the home. And it was just devastating. But that second dip of the W, man, was my rock bottom moment, if that would make sense.
So how did it leave you then with the second brain surgery? Did you wake up and have to relearn to walk again all over again, or?
Yeah, good question, CK. So no, I was able to walk. Cognitive function was like taking 10 steps back. Yeah. I could walk, so I wasn't as bad as I was in the first way. All that progress was washed away from my rehab, but I knew in my mind that I could do it, right? Like I'd done this once, I'd just done this, so I knew I could do it. The mindset shift had already taken place. I knew I could make this work, but I had to put the work in to make it happen. So I incrementally got back up and took steps and got back to work eventually a few months later, and slowly started to rebuild myself and get back to life. And work was a bit cautious, like, well, did we cause the brain injury? It's like, no, this is just a 10% chance. Lucky me, I thought, 10% this happens. It happens to me the second time. Wicked. But it just took a fostering of a mindset that's like, why me? Try me. I kind of got this fuck you attitude to this whole thing, and I'm like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Illness, disease, like, if you can get me down here, no. Like, it's like.
So you went from a why me to a try me?
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's fantastic, right? That's a great way of switching the script, if you will, on your recovery.
Like, if you can make that's proving you wrong, Bible. It's like the fuck you attitude. It's like, you think you got me bad? Like, fuck no. I talk about my recovery now in like such joking terms and brain hemorrhage and haha. And well, damn, was it that difficult? Like, this is the most difficult thing I've ever experienced in my life, bar none. But I talk about it in joking terms because this thing tried to claim me twice, and it didn't get me. So, fucking jog on, bruv. And like, I laugh in his face, and I just go at it like, you know what? You ain't shit, man. Like, you think you got me down here? No, man. Like, I was like, every time I get a setback now, it's like, cool, I'm leveling up now. I got to level up. I lost my job 2 years ago. 10 years at Hootsuite, corporate restructuring, lost my job overnight. Wrong side of a spreadsheet, okay? No fault of my own.
Mm-hmm.
My brother calls me, he goes, Dan, sorry about the job loss, but no one knew this would be a minor hiccup. And you're right. Like, I went out for a boozy lunch, a couple margaritas, guilty. I decided I'm a keynote speaker tomorrow, which means I need a computer today. The shorter you get to acceptance, the shorter you can action and rectify your situation. You can be woes me about it for months. Once you make the decision to accept it, then the real work starts. The faster you get to acceptance, the faster you can build yourself back up and get after things in life, right? Like, why me? Try me. Like, I'm going to level up now. And now it's like every setback, every negative thing that happens in my life, cool, I guess I'm leveling up now. It's like I'm just rising to the occasion, rising through it. Because I ain't going to settle for anything else less than that.
So you got packaged out from Hootsuite, and then you decided you're going to be a keynote speaker. Yeah. And you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it right now. So, like, you have given talks at, let me try and get this, NHS London Wilson Rehabilitation Centre.
That's correct.
Headway West London and Brain Injury Association. You went back to Hootsuite to give a talk, and Spend Desk, a fintech SAS company based in London. So that, like, those are really cool things. And then also for everybody who is actually watching, you can head over to MacQueen Dan. It's not McQueen, it's MacQueen, MacQueendan.com. And I really loved you said it a couple times here, but you said the big idea. You had mentioned the Mike Tyson punch in the mouth.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And then you are giving talks. You are out there doing the work, and the video on your website shows you doing that work. And you're actually quite funny. And I think you were, who was it you said you were not comparing? Oh, Michael Jordan? You were you weren't comparing yourself to Michael Jordan, but you're not comparing yourself to Michael Jordan as well. So I think just, that I just think for me, I've been through some shit in my life, right? I've talked about it on this podcast before. And I don't think anybody should compare their shit to somebody else's shit, because how we feel and perceive things is how we feel and perceive things. However, I have not been in your shoes. And if I think about what you had to go through, I wonder how I might have fared in that situation. And I don't know if I would have had the same brilliant response of switching from why me to try me. And maybe I would have, but it would have taken me a hell of a lot longer to get there. You see what I'm saying? I think that's, and it's twice too. For it to happen twice to you is just wild. And for you to keep getting back up and putting your one foot in front of the other. What is life like for you now? 10 years later? Well, I guess, yeah, like 9 years-ish since your last surgery. What's life like for you now?
Yeah, like, look, with a brain injury, you're never out of the woods, right? Like, I got to wake up with intention. Fatigue's a real issue. I take a nap during the day to rest up. Like, I'm impulsive. I say wild shit. I'm a bit sensitive to some things because I get a bit pissed off by the stuff easier than I would in the past. My fuse is shorter. I gotta be intentional with how I approach my life and my day. So I wake up with intention every day. Routine based. I wake up early, go for a walk or a workout, go for a swim. We're going for a swim this afternoon, actually, go crush some laps because that clears my head. Go for a shower, end the shower cold. Go to do hard stuff every day to show that I can do hard stuff. Earn that, right? Like, you gotta build the stack of evidence that says you do what you say you're gonna do. So I swim every day and I set intention for laps in the pool. So today I'll do 50, bearing one exception, CK. If there's a backstroke on my lane, I can negate that 50 in a second and go in the hot tub and steam room. It's non-negotiable for me. I won't put up with the backstrokers. But set an intention for what you want to do and do it and accomplish that. And the next time, add on more. Like, I meditate every day. Sorry.
What's your tip then? Sorry to cut you off, but what's your tip then for someone who is in it right now and they want to be intentional? They want to reframe what has happened to them in their life. What would be your starting tip for them to focus on in moving the needle?
Better than yesterday. Wheelchair took 45 minutes. Next week, 40. Week after that, 35. Then 30. 30 minutes of me trying my ass off to get into a wheelchair. Think about how long that is to do. 45 minutes. The next week, 40. And you ratchet this up. It's difficult, man. But like, you keep promises to yourself, right? And before you know, you get a stack of evidence that says, I do what I say I'm going to do. Look at this. Look what I've done. So I shower every day and the shower cold for 2 minutes. It's a small win. I've done something hard that day. I know I can do hard things. I remind myself, Dan, you can do hard things. But keep that stack of evidence and build it up over time. Days, weeks, months, and years. It compounds over that. And I know I can do what I say I'm going to do. The pool. Like, just set intentions and next week go a bit higher, a bit stronger, a bit further, a bit faster. Like, pick a small target, nail that target, and then ratchet. And then ratchet. And then ratchet.
I love that.
And before you know it, your new normal's up here. But you've got to put the work in to make this happen, because the first time, man, I went to the pool, I got ready for 40 minutes, swam 5 lengths, and then took 45 minutes to get changed. It was like, what's the point of doing this? Now I swim, I'm going to swim 50 laps today. I swam 70 last night. Like, it's about ratcheting this up and building yourself back up to where you can add value and do the work, man. Because it compounds over time. But you got to put the work in to make it work. If you're going to be whinging about stuff on the sidelines, I got no time for you. But if you put in the work and I'm going to try it for 5 minutes, and then the next week do 10 minutes, like, just build it up slowly but surely. It works. It compounds.
Yeah, I think it's, that resonates with me, because I look at it as just showing up for yourself, right? So
exactly.
Whether it's you are not in good shape and walking up and down the stairs causes you to be winded, do it just once in a day for like a week, and then try twice the next week. Maybe twice is too much, so do it 1.5 times. So they're going to find just one little baby step each day that you can build upon, exactly as you said, right? You're stacking And what you're talking about is you're stacking resilience, and then that evidence is that's your resilience and being able to prove to yourself and everybody else that you can do it.
That's how you foster resiliency. Like, CK, you can foster resiliency like by keeping promises to yourself, right? Like 40 minutes, no 35, 30, no 25. Like I've got this evidence lock that says I do what I say I'm going to do. Keep promises to yourself because that's the most important person in your life. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Come hell or high water, I'm making this up. Like, to give you another story here, CK, I was in the Wolfson Rehab Center, and a chance for a home visit came up, right? I haven't been home in 4 months. And I was really looking forward to an opportunity to go back home. I was just out of a wheelchair. The only barrier was the stairs when you get back to my flat in Hammersmith. As my mom put it, there must be 100. No, there was 44 stairs. 44 stairs. Didn't sound like much, but keep in mind I was fresh out of a wheelchair. That seemed like a rather tall order. I began trying the stairs in the hospital, building up to 44. Eventually, I made myself back up to 44 stairs, and I climbed back home. But it was 44, not 100. And I made the best BLT sandwich of my life at the top of those 44 stairs. I call that Stairway to Heaven. But it's about reframing stuff about what is the actual obstacle and goal here. Like, is it 100? No, it's 44. I can do 44. You know, I didn't do it off the first time, but I did it the second time or the third time. And like, after a week of consistently showing I could do 44 stairs, I was allowed to go back home. But you got to understand what's the obstacle here. What are you facing that's preventing you from doing what you want to do, right? And reframing it in a way that like allows you to do this. And that's with everything in life, man. It's not like just one thing. It's like everything in life. The pool, the wheelchair, the walking, the stairs. Like it's all. What was it yesterday? Okay, add 5, add 10, add 1. Some weeks you might go backwards, but like, okay, start lower then and build back up. So putting the work in, day out, week in, week out, year in, year out, and it compounds over years.
I love that. And I think the messaging's strong, and I think that the messaging is so on point as well. It's everything you've talked about today are things that I know to be true because I've had my own version of going through certain things. It is just showing up. It is stacking it. It is doing the little things. Sometimes I tell people, okay, you have to be aware of what the big picture is, yes, but you don't have to look at the big picture on day one. What's a small part of that picture? Like it's going to get you to the big picture. Pick
a small winnable goal, right? Like what's one thing you can nail? Can I do 5? Okay, do 5. Can I not do 5? Can I do 3? Then do 3. Next week do 4. We have to do 5. But push the boundaries. You gotta push to failure, right? Like I always say that I love knowing the rules so I know how I can break them, right? I used to have to shower with a bat mat in the shower because I was unstable in my feet. And the hospital said you have to shower with a bat mat because you're not stable. You could slip and fall. You could break your head. And I hung it up to dry every day when I went to work in the bath to dry. It's a symbol of me not being good enough to shower. And it drove me bloody bonkers, man. One day I said, you know what? I'm not using this bloody bath mat anymore. And I announced it, like, I'm not using this fucking bath mat. Parents like, oh, you gotta use the bath mat. And the doctor said you gotta use the bath mat. I'm not using the bath mat. Next morning, I didn't use the bath mat. And guess what? I was fine. So I retired the bloody bath mat. I used to walk with a cane around London. Quite a distinguished look. I went to Vancouver for a visit, forgot the cane in London, and guess what? I was just fine, so I retired the cane. Only by risking failure can you stretch yourself to reach your new normal. Can you ratchet that up? If you don't risk it, you're safe, but like you're not growing. Only by risking failure can you really expand your capabilities and expand what's possible or know what's possible. And maybe you fail. And I mean this with all due respect and sincerity. Like, don't stretch to a point where you're gonna hurt yourself, but like push the boundaries, man. Where's the boundary? Do you know that 44 shares was 100? Like, where's the boundary here? And reframe it to that, and then you can accomplish that. Because I can bite off 44, I can't bite off 100.
No, that's incredible and wonderful advice for people to take. So what's next for you?
CK, I am a keynote speaker now. So I'm chasing down this dream of being a speaker. Gave a speech at my brother's wedding last week in Panama. I was a bit worried about because I'm a speaker, I got to do good at this, right? Brought the house down, man. It was fantastic. I'm super stoked with this. But I am full board chasing this down because I want to make an impact, man. I want to change how you look at the world. When you change the way you look at the world look at changes. And I want to share my story because not so you get the attaboys of look how good I am. Although, CK, there's probably a bit of that in there. blush. But more so, you can be like, well, he did it. Why can't I? I did these brain scans a little while ago, CK. A health tech connect in Surrey, BC, Canada. Put this gel cap on your head, inject it with gel, and they ask you questions like microphone, mouse, computer screen, laptop, microphone, window. See if synapses fire. My results came back as average. 2 brain injuries, and they came back as average. But I read this as shockingly average. I'm shockingly average. There's no way I'm average. You see what I've been through? I'm not average. Stuff that. The more I read about it, the more I thought about it. That's good. That means I'm no better or smarter than anyone I go to. I'm just driven to go forward. I'm toes over the nose of my board, riding this wave down. Making this happen. I believe it in my soul. That means you can do this too. I'm no better or smarter than anyone I speak to. I'm just driven to go forwards. And that means that if you get the concoction right, if you pull the levers correctly, you can do this too. Let me help you pull the levers.
Love that. I want you to have lots of talks. I think that you have a great story and a great message to be able to share to people. You've overcome a lot, that's for sure, and you will inspire people. If you head over to MacQueenDan.com, you can get in touch about having him come do a
Keynote.
To come keynote speak, thank you, for you. And you can also watch him deliver some of these messages as well. And there's the one on his website that I really liked was at the end it showed people's responses to his delivery, and they were warm and positive, and I get that sitting here having that conversation with you today. Dan, I really appreciate you sharing your story with me. I do hope to see you on stages delivering your message, and just getting to where you want to go. And yes, thank you very much for being here. For everybody at home, get out there, live your wildest dreams.
For media and sponsorship inquiries, email info@cksims.com or visit cksims.com and fill out the contact form. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. A new episode airs every Saturday. CKS Media.